Hello and welcome back to Life Blowout Prevention Project. This is Ania Grimone and I am your host. And I'm joining you today from my office rather than my studio. And I want to talk to you about something that I've noticed being stuck in the house with my teenager. And that is that when we get sequestered under the same roof with our loved ones, all of a sudden their socks folding patterns become really, really annoying. Their dish stacking gets completely illogical. And the way they make faces at the cat gets really, really loud. So if that's your case, you're probably married or in a relationship and stuck under the same roof. So what happens when we do that is we're already anxious. We don't know what's going to happen. We don't know how long we're going to be in this crazy new routine. We may have financial worries. We may have our own anxieties that we spill on our loved ones. We have kids at home that are in school but out of school, so they're in our hair. We have to share space. We have to work. We have to do all our responsibilities. It's a lot. So that can take a toll on a relationship. And with people who are used to spending quite a bit of time, if not most of their time during the day apart, all of a sudden being stuck in the same place may prove a little challenging. So I want to give you today some tips and ideas of how to prevent your relationship going south. And even if you're really, really strong, if you were strong before and you're going to be strong after, some of these things is still probably going to help you. But what I'm more worried about is those relationships that are a little unsteady, that might be a little challenged already. And at that point, the stress may just be the straw that broke the camel's back. And I don't want that for you. So looking at some data coming out of China, as people were allowed to get out of their house, actually the rate of divorces went really significantly higher. The rate of domestic abuse went higher. So when we are all of a sudden cooped up and stress takes over and hijacks our brain, there's a lot of ugly stuff that happens. So what can you do to prevent that from happening? First of all, hold on criticism. Criticism almost never works, but this is really not the time to point to your partner or your child or whoever you live under the same roof with that they're doing things wrong. A, it doesn't particularly motivate them, and B, is just an invitation for a fight. On the flip side, notice and acknowledge them for the things they're doing right. Another thing you can do is talk less, listen more, and get curious. As in, very often arguments come from assumptions. So if your partner says something or acts in a certain way or expresses an opinion that you may not agree with, rather than shoot it down or criticize it at that point, ask them more questions. Ask them to explain their point of view, tell you more about it. That's my favorite phrase to avoid a lot of drama is tell me more and really listen. Build some times for yourself, and you either trade off or somehow negotiate that time. It's important that with all that togetherness, you do have a little bit of time. And if you have kids and there's a lot of responsibility, make an agreement, a trade for the time, so each of you has a little bit of personal space. If we're talking about your romantic partner, your partner, don't forget intimacy. It goes a long way. Resist walking around the house in your oldest, most stretched out, most comfortable sweats. And this is an unprecedented opportunity to really reconnect with your partner. So turn off the Netflix once in a while and rethink and reconnect and rediscover intimacy between each other. Plan your days, but don't get too rigid about it. So you want to have a structure to your day. You want to get up at a certain time. You want to plan when you're going to work, but be flexible. Another good one is ask for what you want. Your partner is probably a wonderful person and would love to give you what you need so you are calm and relaxed and you don't stress them out, but they can't read your mind. So be kind to yourself, be compassionate to yourself. If you're struggling, just take a moment, take a breath, acknowledge what you're feeling, and ask yourself, what do I want? And ask for it. And invite your partner to do the same and share and give each other what you need. Don't intrude on each other's space. That's a big one. I'm often lost in reverie, and I get really annoyed when somebody just walks into my space and starts talking. And it may look like this person's not doing anything, but they might be lost in their thought. They might be in their own head. So respect both the physical and mental boundaries of the other person. Don't just walk in and assume it's okay to just dump your stuff on them. Ask permission. It may be, this is not the right time, but in 5 or 10 minutes, I'll be ready to talk to you. Showing each other that respect can really go a long way. When you do go for a fight, first of all, take it outside. Take it away from the kids. Don't let the kids watch you fight. Ideally, go for a walk. Sometimes when people are side by side rather than in front of each other, it's less adversarial, it's less threatening, so it's easier to open up and have a conversation. It's also often helpful to schedule the fight for some other time. When you are already charged up and emotional and your brain is hijacked by stress hormones, what's the stuff that comes out of our mouth is usually not very, very productive. So sometimes saying, okay, time out, let's come back to it in about half an hour or an hour, whenever you want to do it, and then go back together when everybody's calmed down. And at that point, only start working on a solution when you understand the other person's perspective. What that looks like is when you offer a perspective that I completely may disagree with and I want to fight with you about it, I need to articulate back to you what I understand for you to mean, and you do the same for me. Because often arguments come from misunderstanding where the other person is coming from. So if we can understand their perspective and what their motivation is, what their thoughts, what their desires are, very often the argument kind of takes care of itself and the resolution is obvious and apparent. Sense of humor goes a long way. Finding humor in this situation, laughing at ourselves, laughing at what's happening. Yes, I know things are very serious, but just because they're serious does not preclude good stuff and funny stuff from happening. So find those things. At the end of the day, celebrate what went right, articulate to each other, say out loud, I really loved this today. Even if it was a little moment of peace, I really loved the way you allowed me to sit for 10 minutes and not talk to anybody. I really appreciate this. Whatever that may be, but acknowledge each other and acknowledge what goes right. That goes a long way, both for you, for your kids, for whoever is under the same roof. Relationships are not easy, and we are all under tremendous amount of stress. And this is also a perfect opportunity to rehash and tweak and repair and address the things that maybe exist in your relationship and they're never quite touched upon or worked with because there's no time. There's always something else. There's always another priority. So this is your opportunity to really put in the work and work out those kinks. So when we all come out on the other side, you will end up stronger than ever. I hope this was helpful. Let me know if you have any questions, comments, ideas, subscribe and share. And I will join you for the next episode of Life Blow Up Prevention Project. Until next time, stay safe.